The lock wasn't ordinary. It had been replaced 3 times over the years, each one stronger than the last. The key? Gone. Destroyed according to the man who owned the house. And the door itself, reinforced from the inside, as if whatever it held wasn't just being kept out of sight, but kept in from the outside. The house was breathtaking. Tall windows, marble floors, a grand staircase that curved like something out of a dream. It was the kind of place people admired from a distance, whispering about its beauty, its history, its mystery, because the house wasn't just known for its elegance. It was known for what happened 20 years ago. No one talked about it openly. Not anymore. But stories have a way of surviving. Even when people try to bury them, they said there used to be a family living there, a powerful one, respected, influential, untouchable, until one night everything changed. Neighbours reported hearing something. Some said it was shouting, others said it sounded like glass breaking, like something heavy being dragged across the floor. But by the time anyone came close enough to check, it was already quiet. Too quiet. The next morning, the house was sealed. Authorities came and went. Questions were asked, but no clear answers were ever given. No official report that explained what truly happened inside those walls. And then, just like that, the family was gone. No goodbye. No public statement. Nothing, only the house remained. And the locked room. Years passed. The story faded. The rumours became whispers, then silence. Eventually, the house was sold quietly, carefully to a new owner who didn't ask too many questions. Or maybe didn't believe the ones he heard. His name was Adrian. He wasn't from that town, didn't grow up with the stories. To him, the house was just a property, an opportunity, something he could restore, renovate, maybe even turn into something profitable. At least, that's what he told people. But from the moment he stepped inside, something felt off. Not enough to walk away, but enough to notice. The air felt heavier in certain parts of the house. The silence lingered longer than it should, and sometimes, late at night, it almost felt like the house was listening. Still, Adrian wasn't the kind of person who scared easily. He had dealt with worse than old rumours and empty hallways. So he got to work, day by day, room by room. He began restoring the house, peeling back layers of dust and neglect, bringing light back into spaces that had been forgotten, until he reached the end of the 2nd floor corridor and saw the door. It didn't look special at first glance, just another door, closed, still, but something about it stood out. Maybe it was the way the wood around it had aged differently, or the fact that, unlike every other part of the house, this section looked untouched. Untouched for decades. Adrian approached it slowly. There was no handle on the outside, no visible keyhole, just a solid surface, and a feeling he couldn't quite explain. Probably sealed shut, he muttered to himself. But as he placed his hand against it, he felt something, a faint vibration, like something on the other side had just moved. He pulled his hand back immediately. His heart started racing. That didn't make sense. This room had been locked for 20 years. There was no way anything could be inside. Right? He tried to brush it off, told himself it was nothing. Old pipes, structural shifts, the kind of sounds old houses make. But deep down, he knew better. That night, Adrian couldn't sleep. Every sound in the house felt louder, every shadow darker, and no matter how hard he tried to ignore it, his mind kept going back to the door. By morning, curiosity had taken over. He needed to know, not because he believed the stories, but because something about that room didn't feel empty, and that was enough. It took hours to break through. The door wasn't just locked, it was reinforced. Layers of wood and metal hidden beneath the surface, as if someone had gone to extreme lengths to make sure it stayed closed. But eventually, it gave in. The moment the seal broke, a rush of cold air escaped from inside. Sharp, sudden, like the room had been holding its breath for 20 years and had just been released. Adrian stepped back instinctively. His chest tightened, because in that moment, it didn't feel like he had opened the room. It felt like the room had been waiting for him. Slowly, cautiously, he pushed the door open. Darkness, complete and absolute. The kind that doesn't just hide things, but consumes them. He reached for a flashlight and stepped inside. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing pieces of the past frozen in time, furniture covered in dust, walls untouched, objects exactly where they had been left, as if no one had ever come back. But then he saw it. In the center of the room, a chair, and tied to it, ropes, old, worn, but still intact. Adrian's stomach dropped, because suddenly the stories didn't feel like stories anymore. They felt real, too real. He moved closer, his breathing uneven now. The floor creaked beneath his feet, echoing louder than it should. And then he noticed something else. Scratches, deep marks carved into the wooden floor, leading away from the chair, toward the wall. No, not just scratches. Message, faint. Almost invisible after all these years, but still there. He knelt down, brushing the dust away carefully. And that's when he saw the words. Don't open it. Adrian froze. A chill ran down his spine, because the message wasn't old, not completely. The edges were too sharp, too recent, as if someone had tried to rewrite it over and over again. And then a sound behind him, soft, barely there, but unmistakable, a breath. Adrian turned slowly, his flashlight shaking in his hand. The beam moved across the room and stopped, right at the doorway. But the door, it was closed, completely. Adrian's heart slammed against his chest. He was sure he had left it open. He stepped back, panic rising now. "Hello," he called out. No response, just silence. Thick, suffocating. And then another sound, closer this time. Right behind him. Adrian didn't turn immediately, because something deep inside him told him not to. But some instincts are impossible to ignore. Slowly, he turned, and what he saw made one thing painfully clear. That room had never been empty. Not 20 years ago, not now, and maybe it was never meant to be opened at all.